and this is kind of plays into how packed this console year is. This is a big year, 2020. Uh, we have announcement of another console coming later this year by title of the Evercade. Now, the Evercade itself, you may have seen some floating around already. There have been some demo units to some YouTubers and stuff going out, and some writers as well.
Oh, yeah. There's
This
been
is
some.
this is a portable console, a little bit, I think, smaller than like a Vita or PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, roundabout there.
Another portable console. Now, we've seen this. My arcade has, their Pac-Mans and their Galagas, and you see these at like Best Buy filled with like crappy games. On the surface, this is what it might look like to you if you see it. But there is a hook, and there's a really nice hook here. And it looks like it's playing towards the niche retro community, which is fairly cool. You don't see a lot of consoles cater to them. And what the hook is that this is a cartridge-based system. Now, I don't mean you can plug in. We've seen these since the Nomad, right? You can't plug in
a
Sega Genesis cart, an SNES cart. The idea of those portable carts are fine, but like you're not going to carry
batteries.
Oh yeah, you're not going to carry 14 or something Nintendo games with you. So what the Evercade does is it uses physical cartridges. Now, I'm not talking like SD cards like the Nintendo Switch. I'm talking like a cart, something more akin to like a Game Boy cart, right? And it uses physical media to play. Now, what I like most about this, I don't think it's something for me just yet, but I do like that the cartridge-based games are coming in packs, right? So you're not buying one game, you're buying a pack of games. And this is why I said it was kind of tailored towards the retro community, because the announcement of these packs is what got me interested in it. Now, right now, from what we've heard, reports indicate that each pack contains between 6 to 20 games, and you'll see why in a second. And they're retailing for about $20 per pack, which is a pretty good deal. You get the cartridge, you get a physical clamshell case, right, like a Sega Genesis case, with a bunch of inserts and instructions and everything that looks really nice. If it is around $20 per pack, that's a pretty cool thing that you're going to get, something you don't get. Now, the packs themselves are mostly retro themed right now. You got packs from Namco. They have 2 packs of their arcade. You have Technos, which is interesting because that's a Japanese company that didn't release a ton of stuff here. You have stuff, of course, from Atari, which is, you probably get 20 games in there, right? You get Pac-Mans and your other stuff from the Atari games. But what's interesting is you got 2 modern studios working on stuff here. You have Pico Interactive, which does a lot of retro games on modern systems, and they do a lot of like Super Nintendo games.
Things that were unreleased as well.
And they buy things that are unreleased. So you get like 6 or so games on there, and you also get Megacat Studios, a company I know really well. I have 4 or 5 Megacat Studio games on my shelf, and they often sometimes send me new products and stuff. And they do original games released for the NES, the SNES, and the Sega Genesis, right? And they'll either do them themselves, or they'll buy up the rights to these homebrew games that are complete and re-release them on cart. So you're getting newer games on this. So that idea is really cool. The device itself is small. It's got a 4.3-inch screen. They say 4 hours of battery life. But this is really tailored right now to the retro market, which is neat. Cartridge things, I'm a stickler for that just because of longevity, right? I want my media to last. I want to, if I collect something or keep it, like I want to be able to give it to my kids and they play it on the same console, not through emulation, not like, oh, I remember when I played so-and-so Xbox One. Oh, it's all gone now. Or I remember tying back to Stadia. Oh yeah, I played a couple games back in my youth. Oh no, you can't really see them, kids. The console doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like you lose everything. Oh, it went offline. We were all idiots to buy it. So you get to keep the console going with carts. Now that means that, of course, more are on the way. Usually with these consoles, these portable consoles, these handhelds, they're one and done sorts of things. They might feature like, I think the app games used to do the Genesis mobile ones. I think I have one of those somewhere.
Yeah,
they were really bad.
They were terrible.
They were real bad.
The sound was all wrong.
Song was bad. It was mushy, like keys, and like the D-pad barely worked. But they stuffed like 30S Genesis games in there, and those still they had an SD card in those, but you didn't really want to load your games on there because the controls and everything played like shit. Yeah, that there was no point. So this one is proprietary. It's got carts. It looks cool. There is some buzz around this that people are liking this. It's from overseas. It's set for release this April, so you won't have to wait that long. I haven't got one myself. I don't know if we're going to get one sent in or not. My only concern would be the D-pad. And looking at this, you can see it online. Some people have talked about it being okay. It looks real gummy. Now, some people have said it mimics the Genesis D-pad from back in the day, and I'll be the first one to tell you I don't like the Genesis D-pad.
I was a Genesis kid, so I loved it, but I can understand that.
It's real squishy, and it doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel like a Super Nintendo controller.
No.
And we've mentioned this before that I don't think anyone has made a good D-pad in the past however many years. Now,
15, 20 years in.
The interesting thing or the concern some people had, and I've seen on this, is that these are console games running. So the Namco packs, the Atari packs, or the Atari 2600 games, the Technos packs looked like they're the Famicom versions or the NES versions. They're not the arcade ROMs or whatever the case may be, like you would expect, right? You might expect if you're playing Dig Dug to play the arcade version of Dig Dug, or Pac-Man, the arcade version of Pac-Man, right? Not the NES version of something like. And you can get away with that for like the Interplay pack, which released a lot of stuff, but
apparently they're working on that.
They say they're working on that. Now, what I've read is that, and this is total marketing bullshit. I know YouTube reviewers and people that get this stuff have to say nice things, especially if it's super early, but that's a bullshit response to say we're working on it. Now, their excuse is telling because they say we don't want to confuse the market. They say their console can do arcade ports of this stuff. I don't know what the specs are on this. They say they can run the games.
I could understand if they said like it was licensing issues because
I would be more comfortable if they just said we're working on it. We hopefully will get some arcade packs down the line, as opposed to saying we don't want to confuse the customer by having arcade versions of some games and some packs having only console versions. Because you're catering to retro people, right?
Yeah,
you're catering to people that already know these characters in these games. Like, there's no 14-year-old out there that knows what the fuck Mappy is, right? There's no 8-year-old who's like, oh yeah, I'm seriously into fucking Dig Dug and Clay Fighters. There's no, they don't exist. No. So to not have those arcade versions on there, I don't doubt that it's possible to put them on there. I just don't know if this thing is optimized yet to be able to handle it. Or
that would also be another thing. Like we're trying to figure out whether we can optimize.
Yes, so like I don't know the guts of this thing. I'm sure they've tested those. Maybe it doesn't run so great, or they haven't figured it out. Who knows what the case may be? But nevertheless, some of these packs are interesting, and especially if you're a fan of modern retro games like the ones released by Pico Interactive or Megacat, because if you were going to go buy them, which I have in the past, I've gotten some, but I've also bought some. They'll cost you $60 per game. They'll cost you that much because a cart has to be produced. You know what I mean? The boards have to be printed.
Oh, yeah.
Then you also have to have a Super Nintendo or Nintendo or a Sega Genesis, right? So the cost gets up there if you want more than one. Here, buy a console, $20 game. Maybe you get 3 or 4 in there. You're good to go. This might be your best bet to play that. Now, some of the features, of course, you'll be able to hook this up to your TV through HDMI so you can play it anywhere you go. So it's not strictly a portable console, which I do like. But I think the big seller point for me is going to be that D-pad. Because right now it just looks... The buttons, the face buttons look great on the side. They look solid.
Yeah. They look
I like
good.
the design. That D-pad, very, very concerned. So you'll be able to get it right now in April. It comes in black or it comes in white. Don't know who's releasing it in the United States or if it's coming. I assume it's coming since a lot of them have been popping up over here for previews and stuff, most likely through Amazon or something. So let us know in the comments below if you're interested in something like the Evercade. Would you pick this up? Would you like to buy new carts for it or other stuff like that? Let us know. Would you like to? And my excitement is if this thing does sell, I'm hoping they're going to get original game packs on there, even from indie publishers. So you get new old games on here, which I think they might be leaning towards if they have the license and the rights to Pico stuff and to Megacat stuff. The idea, if there's new retro games.